To order, if you would join me by standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Nikki.
Mrs. Applebaum? Here. Mr. Applebaum?
Here.
Mrs. Feldman? Here. Mrs. Hopper? Here. Mrs. Mogerman? Dr. Ciortino? Mr. Jacob?
Here. Citizen statements, if there are any. We didn't receive a sheet, did we?
No.
Okay.
You want to wait till the other meeting, right?
We'll do it. We'll do it again in the other meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the September 30th rate hearing?
The agenda.
To approve the agenda for the Board of Education tax rate hearing as scheduled for Wednesday, September 30th, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The motion carries 5-0. 5.01, hearing on the proposed 2015-2016 tax rate. If I could call on Patty Bedborough, our CFO, to present that to the board.
Tonight, I would like to present to you our tax rate proposal for 2015. Overview for this evening, we'll look at our 2015 assessed values. We'll look at our impact of our protested tax settlements over the past few years, our proposed 2015 tax rates, our voluntary rollback, the impact to a homeowner, a comparison of our total revenues generated, and where we rank with the residential rate in St. Louis County. And then we'll end the evening with questions. So first, to begin with our 2015 assessed valuation and a comparison to our 2014 by class of property. So this is net of our existing TIF. So our total assessed valuation post BOE means Board of Equalization from St. Louis County. So we had a total of $4,336,050,920. Last year we had $4,156,208,650. So we had a net increase of $179,842,270 in total assessed valuation. The only class of property that had a decrease is our personal property. The summary of what makes up the $179 million in changes: residential new construction, $9,592,900. Commercial new construction, $18,373,100. A big portion of that is the RGA building that is right off of Highway 64. Personal property, a decrease of $3,876,250. Commercial reassessment increase of $48,133,500. Reassessment increase for residential, $107,429,780. And agricultural assessment increase of $189,270 for a total reassessment increase of 4.3%. Broken down as far as class of property, to see this in total, our largest property class is residential, holding 62.18% of the total. Personal property, 12.97%. Commercial, 24.83%. And agricultural at only a 0.01%. Impact of protested tax settlements, probably a broken record by now, but over the past few years, we've paid back millions in settlement of protested taxes dating back to 2005. 2 years ago, we submitted the recoupment request, and last year we took the remaining 0.2570 in commercial rate increase, which represented 1/2 of the commercial loss from the 2012-2013 calculation. This year, which is our final year of taking that calculation, we are requesting the remaining 0.2374 on the residential rate. It's approximately $6.4 million. This is the final year to request from this calculation, or we lose that revenue. Recoupment is a one-time increase to the rate. This will be used strictly to build our fund balance, so not to add or fund additional expenditures. We historically budgeted a collection rate of 97% over the past few years. You're very well aware that our collection rate's been much lower than that. We're currently budgeting a 96.5% collection rate, and we anticipate the additional settlements in this upcoming year from protest. This practice is most likely going to continue for quite some time from our property owners, so from our residential or from our commercial property owners, and we need to continue to calculate the recoupment and roll up the rates to recoup that lost revenue. Our proposed rates are by fund, but they're also by property classes such as residential, commercial, agricultural, and personal property. So that's unique to St. Louis County. We also do it based on our fund, so based on general fund versus the special or teachers fund, debt service, and capital projects. And we do that based on a blended rate. So our proposed operating levy, so not including debt service, shows an increase of 0.0399 in our blended rate overall. So the residential rate is proposed at 3.9717, commercial rate of 4.1896, personal property of 3.7379, agricultural 3.8917, for a total blended rate of 3.9980. On this next slide, it demonstrates our total rate, which includes debt service. So keep in mind that our debt service rate increased from 34 cents last year to 49 cents this year with the passage of Proposition S. So our total residential rate will be 4.4617, commercial rate of 4.6796, personal property 4.2279, agricultural 4.3817, for a total blended rate of 4.4880, an overall increase of 0.1899. The 2015 residential rate includes the 0.2374 attributed to the recoupment from the prior year's assessments, and the 2014 commercial rate included a 0.02564 and personal property tax rate of 0.05. Our proposed rates by fund has a change of the 0.0399 for total operating rate, so a general rate of 1.3993, special revenue rate of 2.5987, for a total operating rate of 3.998. Our debt service will be hopefully levied at the 0.49 cents, and a total blended rate of 4.4880. Our voluntary rollback in the residential rate remains at 0.2382, approximately $6.2 million in revenue, and this ceiling will remain and be untouched. A breakdown of the change in the residential rate as proposed. Our 2014 operating residential rate was 3.7343. We had a debt service rate of 0.34 for a total residential rate of 4.0743. The net impact from reassessment was 0. We should have had a rollback in rate because our reassessment was greater than the 0.8% CPI. However, because of the personal property values decreasing, the rate increase then was moved based on the calculation to the residential rate. So the net impact from reassessment on the residential rate was 0. So the increase in debt service rate is the 0.15. Recoupment for 2015, the 0.2374, for a total proposed residential rate of 4.4617. What is the impact to the average homeowner? If we use the average value of being a $250,000 home based and with personal property of an estimated $15,000, the actual impact with debt service is $188 to that homeowner. So breaking that down, it would be $110 based on the recoupment and $78 based on the change in the debt service rate. As a comparison to prior year total property tax revenues, including debt service, so this is at 100% levy, which is certainly not what we collect. We collect probably about 96.5% is our estimation. Our taxes levied last year in total were $178,638,004. This year, with the proposed property taxes, it is $602,382 for a net increase of $15,964,378. Broken down, reassessment is $2,072,759. New construction, $975,694. Increase in the debt service levy, $6,504,076. Recoupment, $6,412,848 for that net total of $15,964,378. Remember, this is based on total taxes levied, not the actual collected. And recoupment is to be used one time and will help to meet our fund balance growth targets without negatively impacting our student learning. The net impact to our operating budget if 100% is collected would be $9,460,302, but at a 96.5 percentage rate, it's an increase of $9,129,000. Based on the county rates in 2014, our total Parkway residential rate was 4.0743. The county average was 5.0558, and we ranked 20th lowest out of the 22, only in St. Louis County districts. In 2015, our estimated rate is 4.4617, and if all the other rates remained exactly the same, we would rank 17th lowest out of the 22. Do you have any questions?
You had me at recoupment. No, a question I had for you. We showed in new residential construction a certain amount of assessed value, but I think you've indicated too that the county is way behind on new construction. There actually is quite a bit more out there. Is that correct?
Correct. And even in the commercial construction, our first spreadsheet had a much lower number than we anticipated, even with the RGA building. So we contacted St. Louis County. They did thorough research and found out that, in fact, they missed that building. So we actually have a meeting set up with the assessor, and Jake Zimmerman will be present at that meeting. I believe it's scheduled for October 27th, where it's not only myself, but other area school district CFOs to be attending, because we all have various questions on the assessment, not only of new property, but of refurbished property too.
Based on your knowledge of talking to other district CFOs, is our collection rate like in the norm as far as what others are experiencing?
I think we have shared part of the volatility of the rate. This past fiscal year, we actually had less protested tax paid back than we had in previous years. So we had a little bit higher collection rate. I believe it was pretty close to 97%. However, we know that in the next 2 years, they have to become only 2 years behind in their settlement of protested taxes. So we're anticipating this next year to also be a large protested tax year. I know our neighbor Rockwood had some big hits from protested taxes this current year. So we might have been one of the first districts to have the large hits, us along with Clayton, because we have a lot of commercial property. But I think all the area districts are feeling that.
Do you think there'll be a lot of districts taking the recoupment?
Absolutely.
The slide that you had towards the end about where we fall in, among the 22 districts is we're likely to reclaim our spot at
Correct.
20 or 17 or whatever it is.
Correct. And even though some of the protests were not residential, because we work on the blended rate with the state auditor's calculations, some of the recoupment goes back to the residential rate. And as you look at our rates and do the comparison, our commercial rate is higher than our residential rate.
Just to clarify, when we say the ranking, we're talking about low, right? We're in
Right.
the low end, just so people.
Exactly.
yeah,
The
so just-
20th lowest for last year and the 17th lowest for this upcoming year.
I had a conversation with the collector revenue for the city, and he said that these appeals, that they were kind of like on the tail end of them, that they're kind of going down. Do you have a sense for that in the county? I mean, are we kind of like beyond the hump for getting those appeals settled, or?
Quite possibly, but what we're seeing possibly as a trend is that when property is being refurbished and upgraded, that maybe that property is not being reassessed to a higher level. That if the property was marked maybe as good prior to the updates and comes in as being good, because I think there's only 3 classes of property. I know Mary Jo Gruber, the CFO of Clayton, had a specific building she was looking at, and the assessed valuation in that building did not change, even though major renovations and updates took place in it. So that is part of our questions to the assessor. So even though there may be less protests, they may not be valuing the current property at maybe a high enough rate.
To homes that are vacant, that nobody's occupied a new construction, for example, where do their taxes fit into here?
Well, it's either collected or uncollected. So sometimes if it's held by the mortgage company pays that taxes. But if it's totally vacated and abandoned, then they do have sales essentially of the property for the back taxes. Thank you very much.
Patty, thank you very much. Also, on our agenda, if there are any citizen comments regarding the tax rate hearing, we could hear those now. If there are not, are there any? Doesn't look like there are. Wonderful. 6.0, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the tax rate hearing?
So moved.
Aye. The motion carries 5-0. We're going to take how about an 8-minute break? We'll begin again at 7 o'clock. Thank you.